it's my wife's birthday today.
Happy wife's birthday.
And she's like, "Oh, you're going to jury duty at like, you know, all morning and taking the car. Thanks." I was like, "It's my civil duty."
Yeah. Well, if you don't show up, then they can send somebody to come find you.
That's true. Yeah. Although it was kind of like lackadaisical here in like the judge. In fact, it was funny because like when we went in, because we went in on Monday, and then on Friday I had my actual case. I got selected for a case, and on Monday the judge was like, yeah, if you're gonna be a little late on Friday, it's all right. Like if you're not gonna show up, kind of let me know, but please be there. Like, and I was like, what the heck? I thought I would think that the judge would be like, we will hold you in contempt of court, and your case will be tried next. But then it all made sense because the bailiff this morning, he was like, "Oh, the judge is running a little bit late. He had a doctor's appointment."
Oh, nice.
I was like, I get it now.
Hey, Derek. We hear your cafe music there. It's like Star Wars Cantina.
Apparently my camera's not working.
Except that's not in the movies anymore.
There we go.
Okay, so I'm sitting in DFW Airport.
Okay.
I've been there. A couple times.
Yeah, I'm here a lot. More than I want to.
Nice.
I wonder if people are going to complain that I'm driving.
Well, not only are you driving, but your audio is real bad. So
Yeah.
lots of reasons to complain. And then Derek,
Oh, yeah.
this might be the worst audio ever because Derek's also.
No, the worst audio ever was the one that I did in the coffee shop playing bluegrass in the background.
Somebody needs to get Spotify going here and get some bluegrass.
Yeah. Maybe some Beach Boys. There we go. So let's jump right in because we have less time because it took us a while to decide we were going to do it today and not Monday.
I think we're past the point where we can jump right in. We passed that point about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I do have to say that jury duty is pretty awesome though. I'm totally doing jury duty next time. I'm not making excuses because it's fun. Everyone should do it. If you haven't done it, it's fun. Like I didn't know what a real court case was like, but it was pretty fun to sit there and listen to all this stuff. I was taking like copious notes, and I'm not a note taker.
I've never been selected for a jury.
Yeah, I've been called up twice. Actually, the one time it was like literally on my first day of work at my new job after I'd been temping. I'd been temping for like 2.5 years trying to get a full-time job, and then like basically the case was supposed to start on my first day of work, and I'm like, Your Honor, can we do something about this? And he's like, yeah, he's like, you're fine. So.
If you ever want to get out of jury duty permanently, though, I have the answer for you. I figured it out because after watching people get dismissed, just say you have a hearing problem and you just have trouble hearing people like out of both of your ears.
What?
They will tell you never to come back for jury duty again because
what?
Interesting.
Go with that. Yeah.
What did you say?
The other one is that I speak really good English, but my comprehension level is really low. I don't think I could understand. I have to have people repeat stuff to me.
Nice. I'm a fluent speaker, but.
Yeah, I have LSD.
Nice.
Well, it's funny too because they usually ask your views on things, and yeah, it's funny because sometimes those views, you have anything that's even semi-extreme, and they're just like, eh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing that I actually got selected then because
I know, right?
They asked me the right questions. Like,
they didn't set off the hair trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm home, so I'm gonna transfer to my PC. I guess
All
I'll
right.
just jump off of this and then transfer.
Cool.
Okie dokie.
Chuck, what's up? So did you get a conference, didn't you? One of your online
Yeah.
conferences?
Yeah, I had an online conference last week. It was Rails Remote Conf. I figured out that if I work harder to market it, I get more attendees.
Shocker.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So there were 30 or 40 people that signed up for it, which was actually pretty decent considering the amount of effort I put into it. I'm working hard to actually nail it for JS Remote Conf, and I'm starting to line up speakers for Freelance Remote Conf. So that should be pretty interesting. And I've been working with my friend who's in Argentina. He's worked for me for a while, but he's actually been doing most of the work to get the conferences page /app up so that I can just add some conference to it and then just run everything through it.
You're basically building lead pages for conferences. Like a page
maybe.
generator type of thing, right?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, there's more to it than lead pages because lead pages is mostly just capturing an email address and maybe a name.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this has registration, call for proposals, contact form, and things like that. Manages coupon codes and stuff like that. But the flip side of it is that everything was managed through text files before. So I'd put a YAML file or something in the back and then edit it, and that's where it would get the speaker information and stuff from. So now that's all backed on a database and actually has an admin panel, which means
nice.
you have to be the person to edit the text file.
Nice.
I had to do 2 or 3 conferences before Mandy got all of the nuances of YAML, and that's not her fault because some of them are really funky when you're dealing with some of the stuff that comes in on a talk title or talk, how to do paragraphs. What if there's a colon in there because a colon's significant in YAML, stuff like that. I mean, and so it's just dumb stuff, and you have to balance the quotation marks one way or another way, or you can do a pipe and then indent. I mean, it's kind of wacky, and so this way, she just gets a text field and she can just fill it in.
Dude, you should have just used XML.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't do that. But I'm also gonna basically give her a tab that's Markdown enabled, so she can do minor.
Okay, nice.
Formatting, but the talk titles don't need anything more than maybe bold this or italic that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're going to be in good shape there. And then, I'm really excited because I think early next week we'll be to the point where I can actually move JS Remote Conf onto it, and I can start setting up the pages for the other conferences. And we can start working on the packages where people can pay for more than one conference at once.
Oh, nice.
And that way, yeah. And I think
Are
I'm
you
just going
going to do a full year, or
I'm going to do a 3-pack, 6-pack, 9-pack, and a full year.
Okay, and then you'll be able to pick and choose which ones you want, or you won't have to pick ahead of time?
No, you can change it all the way up until we announce how you access the conference.
Okay.
So if you've spent a credit on like JS Remote Conf, and then we come out and we say, okay, folks, here's the URL for accessing the conference on Crowdcast, and here are some of the other things that we've set up so that you can get in and get the information you need, then it's too late to get that credit back.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty interesting. Is there any? I can't think of anybody else doing anything even remotely like this.
No, I've met a few people that do variations on this, but what they wind up doing, and I'm going to try and break into this after I get this set up because it's going to be really easy for me to do it. But I've had several people, or I know a few people who have done these kinds of summits, is what they call them, and they like build something out on WordPress and then use email to send stuff around, which is more or less what I've done for the last few. But a lot of times they wind up hiring somebody to run all that for them.
Right.
And so what I'm looking at doing is basically working that out with them so that it's, look, we'll run all this for you, and then if we can determine that there's a certain level of audience reach or something that they have where we feel like we're going to make enough money on the conference, then we'll just do a straight up percentage. And it's like, look, we'll do your marketing for you. We'll pull everything we can together for you. We'll, you're going to have to do some of the work because you're kind of the face of the conference, but we'll reach out to all the people that need to be reached out to get the word out about it and things like that, and we'll sell it to them and make sure that they understand why it benefits the people that they reach. And then the other thing, and so there's a lot to that. I may have to do some integrations with like MailChimp or something if people want to use that instead of Drip. But or their Drip subscription will just be kind of wrapped into everything else, and I'll just use it on my own account.
Yeah.
All right.
But then the flip side of that, or the other end of that is that if they don't have a large reach, or it doesn't look like with a percentage deal that I'd make enough to make it worth my time, then I'll just add a minimum to it. And so then if they're after the brand building, they don't care if they make any money. They figure that we'll make at least a few $1,000s. I'll make a few $1,000s, and they'll get their brand built, and that's worth it to them. Then we'll just go that way. So then if they want to do a private event and they've got the money to spend to pay somebody else to manage the event for them, things like that. So for example, my other mastermind is kind of a paid men's group. And so I could see him wanting to pull something together with however many of us there are 50 of us or so, and doing his own kind of private little online event. And so if he would pay me to put it on for him, I could see him doing that and actually, having it worth it to him, even though he's not putting anything out there that he's going to make any money directly off of. So that's kind of the plan there. But then if I get the whole system together, then I'm building it with an eye toward, people can add their own Stripe account in. They can, so they can add all of their Stripe and social media and everything else and integrate it so that it all just does what it's supposed to do. And have that all work. In fact, Eric Isaacson, who does the Web Platform podcast, he and I are talking about how we're going to split the proceeds from a web components online conference at the end of January or beginning of February. I don't remember. I don't think we settled dates now that I think about it. But anyway, so we might wind up splitting that like 50-50. And so then I'll do all the marketing and blah, 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 blah. Use his contacts to line up, high-end speakers and things like that. So
yeah.
Of course, I'm also going to be exploiting my contacts to line up high-end speakers and stuff like that. But anyway, so
somehow I missed the point where you transitioned from just doing this for yourself to also like offering this as a service.
Well, he asked me about it a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I'll give you access to my system, and I'll help you pull it together, and we'll kind of partner on it. And so that got me thinking, you know what? If I can make this, really simple to set up, then I can sell it to people.
Yeah.
I could probably pay Mandy and or Gerald to do a good chunk of the work. And so if I make $3, $4, $5 on it, and I spend out $1,000 for them to actually do my part of the thing, and I just have to push a few buttons and make sure everything stays organized properly, that's totally worth it to me.
Yeah.
But I think I can do it and have it take up a minimum of my time. And since it's something that I'm doing anyway, it just kind of goes into the same machine.
Yep. That's great.
I've already got a checklist template in Basecamp. So I've been looking at my February conference now that we kind of got things rolling on the January conference. And I was like, okay, what do I want to do? And I was like, oh, I'll just copy the checklist from the first conference to the second.
Nice.
And so then I'm setting up due dates and stuff like that for the beginning of December. And we'll just pull out all the stops there, too. We'll do the exact same thing we're doing for the first one.
You have the key. I just did a video on this about the key to being prolific, which is basically that. You have this process, you follow this thing, you repeat it, you can pump out stuff like nobody's business. So
yep. So that's the
awesome.
plan. That's exactly what I'm doing.
I forgot I'm not supposed to wear glasses.
So yeah, so I've got a system behind this that I'm pulling on. I'm also getting a system around the sponsorships, getting new sponsorships, and that's almost to the point that I want it to be at. But I'm going to be doing most of the outreach on those myself because I want people to feel like they're talking to kind of the decision maker and the person involved. I do intend to empower Mandy a little bit more so that people, and just let people know if you're talking to Mandy, she has she's authorized to make these deals. And that way they don't feel like, I'm ignoring them or anything. And if they need to reach out to me, they can. But for the most part, there's no reason to because she's going to do what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not quite to that point yet, and I really want to get the system down to an art before I turn around and say, okay, go ahead and do this for me. So that's, but yeah, that's the focus here toward the end of the year is just getting systems together.
Right.
So that I don't have to do as much of this work. And then I'm also at this point starting to think about what my goals are for next year and how I think I can reach those. So, and I'm going to get my competent communicator in Toastmasters next week. This week.
Is that a tattoo or a badge? Is it like...
So you have to give 10 speeches. I gave my 9th on Thursday, and I'm giving my 10th this coming Thursday. So.
Cool.
Well, it's good to know after like 2,000 podcasts that you're a good communicator.
I'm a
Chuck.
competent communicator.
You've got the rubber stamp now. Yep.
I have learned so much though by doing these speeches. The main difference is, and I think this is something that I think all entrepreneurs need to learn, and that is you have to find ways to get feedback on what you're doing so that you can understand where you can improve.
Mm-hmm.
And Toastmasters, there are a couple of things that they do in the meetings that help with that. The first one is that you have 2 roles during the meeting where people actually keep track of mistakes, and you get a report on that at the end. One is the master, so whenever you use filler words like like, or
That's great.
double clutch, which is if you start a thought
and repeat
the
word.
Back up and date the thought. That's a double clutch, and they pick up on that and they remind you to keep an eye out for that stuff.
Now we're all becoming very self-conscious as you're describing all of these.
Well, and whenever I start thinking about this stuff, I start paying more attention, and I either do way better or way worse at your nose. And your nose is totally my crutch.
Yeah.
So, and I know this. So.
Yeah, remember you talked about that a long time ago on one of your podcasts.
Yeah. And they also have a grammarian that keeps track of grammatical mistakes. And people don't like it when I'm a grammarian because I am a nitpicker.
Nice.
But the other thing that happens is if you give a speech, you get an evaluation. So somebody actually gets up and says, look, you did this really well, you did that really well, you did this other thing really well. Here's something you could improve. Here's maybe another area that you could think about. And I get a lot out of that. In fact, at the last speech, I had done a lot of things better that I had gotten feedback on, but I was waving my hands all over the place while I was talking. And I would make all my points like this. You can't see it in the audio, but I'm shaking my hands up and down. I'm moving them up and down. So the issue became that it was somewhat distracting, and I actually went up to my evaluator afterward. He's also been my mentor for the last 6 months in Toastmasters. And I asked him, I was like, how do I do this stuff? How do I do better at this? And he gave me a couple of techniques that I can use to control my hands and manage my movement on stage, which are things that I don't necessarily worry about when I'm podcasting, but as I want to become a better speaker, this is an area that I can improve on and do much better as a speaker. So, anyway, and that "so" was a filler word. Anyway. But I'm definitely doing better at that stuff, and I'm excited to move ahead with that. So
cool.
I haven't heard any you knows, so good work.
I'm really trying. I have gotten better at that. Mostly, what the trick is for you knows, us, ums, likes, so's, is to become comfortable with pauses and breaks.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I've noticed you doing that. I've been paying attention just now, like as we've been talking about this, and I've noticed you pausing for a second or two, or you would have probably put in a filler before.
Well, the reason is because a lot of people aren't comfortable with even a slight break in the conversation.
Yep.
I got really good at it just from editing myself.
Yeah.
After editing. Yeah.
And with so, you have to pay attention because a lot of times you'll tack it on to the front of a sentence where you don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
And in that case, it's a filler word. A lot of people don't count it when they're counting Oz, but
It's not just a filler word, though. It's a word that's often used when you don't have a natural transition between what you've been saying and what you say next.
Right.
But
Like anyways.
It weakens the statement that it precedes.
Yeah.
And so you need to kill it and say, instead of, so I got up and went to the store, just say, I went to the store. Or I got up and went to the store. Because it changes the tone and the flow of that sentence. So, anyway. But enough speaking tips. I've really been enjoying it. I'm excited. I also got best speaker for the first time at the last meeting. So.
Nice. Yeah, at some point I would like to do something like that.
Yeah, I beat out my cousin. She was one of the other speakers. But yeah, so that's the real focus, is getting that down, figuring out the sponsorship stuff, and getting that all streamlined. The other thing is just like I can streamline things for my own stuff with the conferences, streamlining stuff for my sponsorships helps me streamline stuff for finding other people sponsorships.
Mm-hmm.
And I did connect somebody who wanted to sponsor with Derek, so hopefully that got all ironed out and we got a sponsor.
You didn't give me any sponsors.
Well, that guy was wanting to sponsor us as Entreprogrammers. There was some communication back and forth with them. I'm not sure where it stands at the moment. It's kind of sitting in their hands. I need to follow up with him and see if he's looking for more information. But I think I gave him all the information that he was looking for. I just need to follow up again.
Yeah, probably. Follow-up is one thing I'm finding is key to finding these people, finding any kind of customer, really.
Yep.
Good follow-up is major payback, major payoff. But, yeah. So, that's what I've got going on. So I'll probably have next week, I'll have some better ideas as far as what my goals are for next year and get your opinions on that stuff.
Oh, nice.
How about you, Josh? What do you have going on?
You say John or Josh?
Josh.
Oh, yeah. Why, John? Why don't we? I'm going to pass the baton to John. I think at this point because we've had an exciting week.
Just a little bit exciting. So Josh is a kick-ass copywriter. I have to say that. This is crazy. Like you guys aren't going to believe when I give you the numbers on this launch what they are. In fact, they're still going up. So let's see. So where should I start? I guess let's just start with where the numbers are now because that's pretty crazy. So right now we're sitting at 484 purchases of 10 Steps to Learn Anything Quickly and a total dollar value of $39,817.
Nice. So we're gonna crack 40K.
Yeah, we're gonna crack 40K like probably in a few minutes here. So, so that's pretty freaking awesome.
So John's rich and Josh can buy a Big Mac, right?
Well, Josh gets 10% of everything above 5K.
4 Big Macs.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it was a good deal we put together. I'm glad we had the royalty option in there.
Yeah. So that's gonna end up netting you in like an extra $3,500. So that's pretty good.
Yep.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and totally worth it is for me to pay Josh to do that because I mean his stuff was just so awesome. The emails and the sales page. I mean the sales page was cold converting. Okay, so this is how crazy good Josh's stuff is.
This is actually the part I'm actually more excited about this than I was about the sale itself. Like, go ahead.
So we put up the page like on Thursday of last week, I think. Like just made it live while we're trying to test the funnel, right? And then like a sale just comes trickling through. Like what the hell? A full price sale, right? And so I looked to see how many visitors had visited the page. 10. I think it might have even been less than 10 at that point, right? The next day a sale comes through, and it's like there's like 20 visitors that had visited the page. The next day a sale comes through. So the conversion rate was hovering somewhere between like 5 to 10% on cold traffic coming to that page.
These were just people that found, like, because John has a products page, and it was just people clicking through from the products page and reading it and buying it cold.
Yeah.
This week on Entreprogrammers, we have Josh Cha-ching Earl.
Yeah, so it's just crazy. I can't even believe, like, and when the sales started coming in, I was like, you know, my hopes were that we'd hit like 100 sales in the first day, and I think Josh had kind of predicted like what you said, 125.
Yeah, my gut with my first instinct was 150, and then I was like, no, that's too much. That's too optimistic.
Right.
So I dialed it back to 125.
And then we actually ended up hitting like 200, over 200 that night. And then the next day, like, which is usually the slow day, I think we bumped up another 100 to like it ended the day at over 300. And then yesterday was technically the last day, and last night I thought it was gonna. Or Josh was predicting 450, and we were sitting at like 380, and I was like at 8 o'clock at night, and I was like, it's not gonna go to 450. I was thinking, and then sure enough, when I woke up this morning, it was like 458, and now we're at 484. So it just keeps going crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So Josh really lit fires under people's butts with the. I mean, it was awesome. Like, also, I mean, the copywriting is awesome, but also the way that Josh packaged it, the offer was pretty awesome as well. Because just the idea of, you know, he took the course, he added the workbook, the way that he packaged it together made it a really awesome deal with the webinar, and then we had like the limited signed copies of soft skills, which of course like everyone who bought those was out of the country.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Nice. That was John's worst. That was John's worst fear, and I was like, "Oh no, don't worry, man. We'll sell all of them in like 3 minutes, and it'll all go to people on the East Coast." And oh man.
But yeah, so
John will be dropping another $500 to ship those books.
Actually, you know, it's like $23 per person. To ship pretty much anywhere in the world, basically.
Man.
So.
That's expensive.
It's not too bad. It's just a pain in the butt trying to do it on USPS and print out the customs form and stuff. But I've got it down now. It's worth it.
You have an assistant guy that can do that stuff?
Not a physical, like, because this is physical. Yeah, I thought about like hiring a drop ship, or not a drop ship. There's order fulfillment companies, but for like 14 books, it wasn't worth it. Like,
that makes sense.
The phone call wouldn't be worth it. So. Anyway, so I've got to send some of those out. I've got most of them sent out. One guy is my neighbor. he's like, oh, you're in Tampa, and he put his address, and I was like, you're actually like in the subdivision next to me.
Nice.
Just ride your bike over there and throw it.
Yeah,
you guys can go over you guys can go bang on Matt Ferry's door again.
Yeah. So he's just gonna come over and pick it up, and then and then I've still got to do the webinar. Mm-hmm. So I might actually, with like 500 people, I don't know how this is going to work. I mean, obviously not all 500 are going to join, but there's going to be a significant amount of people that join because they paid for this thing. So what I'm thinking that I'm going to do is I might actually do 2. I might because I want to make sure that everyone gets their questions answered. So, and I'm obviously going to record them with Google Hangouts. I hope I can support that. I'm sure I can support that many users on Google Hangouts, but I was just going to probably just do 2 of them, and then I think that'll make everyone happy. So
you should use Crowdcast for that.
Crowdcast?
Yeah.
What is Crowdcast? Is it?
That's what I've been using lately for my online conferences. And it embeds the video in the page, and then right below the video, it has a Q&A section so people can ask questions.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And other watchers can actually vote up the questions, so you can answer the most popular ones first.
And
then there's a chat on the side. And
can they send hearts?
No.
Okay, it's useless then.
Now, do I have to pay for this? Because I'm kind of broke right now.
You can pay for it. I think they have a free tier. If they don't, then I can put you in touch with them, and you can say, "Hey, I want to try this out for future."
Okay.
Whatever. And they'll probably give you a free trial. But yeah, it just embeds Google Hangouts, and if you're using your personal YouTube account, then you can actually use their Crowdcast plugin, and so you can manage everything through the Hangouts interface without actually having to have the page up, and you can see the chat and everything.
Oh, really? And I'm assuming it records it, right?
Yeah, you just set up your YouTube Live or Hangout on there.
Can you can make it private, right? Because that's the other thing I've got to do.
You can require registration.
Okay, yeah, because I've got to make it private, so I can send the link out. Because obviously people paid for this. I don't want to make it free in public.
Yeah, you can make it. It basically the best you can get is what would normally be unlisted.
Yeah.
But if they're sneaking their friends in the back door, I don't think that's going to really hurt you either.
This is yet another missed opportunity on my part. I built something that sounds exactly like this when I worked for Telerik. We call it the Telerik Tech Chat, and it was just it was a sign-up page that had a Q&A and had calendar integration, and you would set up events on there that people could sign up for, and it would start up a Google Hangout for people to watch that they would have to log in. They would have to use their special link to get to in order to see it, so we could track who came to it and how many people used whose link and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
You could have rolled that into Signal Link.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So many missed opportunities on all of this stuff. So many little things that I built that went on to be actual amazing products that people pay for.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you that Crowdcast is actually moving away from Google Hangouts because there are a couple of issues with Google Hangouts. One is that there's about a 10 to 20 second delay from what we're all seeing because we're on the call versus what people who are watching will see.
Oh, I see.
And that's goofed things up a few times on the conferences just because, the speaker will say, "All right, can everybody hear me?" And I'm like, I have to unmute and go, "I can hear you." Because I'm the only one that can hear them for 10 to 20 seconds.
Yeah.
The other thing is that the quality isn't as high quality as you can actually get with like WebRTC and stuff, and so their new system is much higher fidelity, video and audio, than Hangouts is.
Oh, side note, if you guys are wondering why I'm eating a potato by itself.
It's Carb Day! Yay! Oh.
It is Carb Day, but it's not as big of a yay anymore because the last so the first time I Carb Day, I ate candy, right?
Right.
That was a yay, but it didn't really work out too well. I got all bloated and it just and I think I ruined my week, like what I had lost. So then the second Carb Day last week, I got a bunch of whole wheat bagels. And but still good stuff, right? Like some cereal and like kind of, but more starchy stuff.
Say hi.
Who do we have here? Hey
This
there.
is Eli.
And then
Going out of your butt.
that was bad because I had all this fiber, like 200 grams of fiber or something like that. So. You can imagine it's not good. I was like, have you seen like Peanuts? The dust cloud kid. What's his name? Dirtbag. I was like Dirtbag. So this week,
Pigpen.
I'm eating Oh yeah, Pigpen. What Dirtbag? That's his name. Should be Dirtbag. Anyway, so this week I'm carving up on boring crap. I've got rice checks. I've got potatoes, just plain baked potatoes, and I've got rice, those rice crackers rice cake.
Yeah, rice cakes. Oh my gosh.
I've got some gluten-free Thai noodles and some gluten-free whatever pasta or something. So it's going to be like so now not only is
It's like
my
sad
week
Carb Day.
yeah. So now not only is it like friggin' torture doing like no carbs for 4 days and grueling workouts. But now on carb day, I have to stuff myself with 1,200 grams of not very tasty carbs.
Man, send that man some French fries.
Yeah, so you can't eat French fries because they have fat.
Yeah.
If you eat fat on your carb day, you will get fat. So. Yeah.
I'll tell you, John,
on
my
carb day.
my body
sacrifices
retains
for
candy
vanity.
too.
So yeah, so that's what I'm doing. Yeah, the sacrifices for vanity. Gosh.
Yeah,
So we'll
as Ziegler says, me and my doctor figured out that my body retains cream.
So I'm tracking my macros perfectly today too. So we'll see what happens. I think it'll be better. But I'm also going to figure out if I have like a wheat or gluten intolerance, which I hate. Like I don't like that when people say that because I think like everyone's like I tend to make fun of those people, but I will actually have evidence if that's the you know what I mean. So I'm assuming that I don't, but after last week I was like, if I cut out all the wheat and then all of a sudden it's smooth and there's no problem, then I'll know there's an issue with wheat. So.
Yeah, well, I have people that. So I have a lactose intolerance, but if I take in milk, I get violently ill. I spend a lot of time with the toilet. Anyway, it's. I mean that's an intolerance. I hear people say I'm lactose intolerant. I eat a little bit and then I get a little bit of gas. I'm like, you're not intolerant. If it doesn't make you really sick, take you out for a day.
Yeah. It's weird though. I've thought I was lactose intolerant, and then I don't know. It's really hard to figure out like food things unless because you know why? Because most people do not like isolate their diet down to one thing. Like so you can't tell if like you eat like 50 different things. How do you know what is causing what? So it takes a real large amount of discipline to actually figure out if you have a reaction to a thing. Yeah. Unless it's super obvious, like you drink a glass of milk and then you're like running to the bathroom, you know.
Yeah. Well, with the gluten intolerance thing, supposedly I've heard that stuff will stay in your system for like weeks to months. So to really find out, what's it, months? Yeah, to really find out, you have to like cut it out completely for a long time.
Yeah,
and
but I mean,
really
but you'll notice a difference. Like, I mean, just for example, like last week on Friday, I ate a bunch of wheat bagels and whole wheat stuff, right? Like 1,200 grams of carbs, like, and I had bad reaction to it. Now, so I mean,
like, but if you ate 1,200 grams of almost anything, you could probably give yourself some kind of bad reaction.
Maybe. So far today, no issue. And I'm eating rice-based stuff.
I think your
potatoes.
I think your fellow jurors are grateful for that. Nice.
But I'm actually leaning out pretty good with this diet, even with my screw up last week. So, that one wasn't as bad of a screw up, but
yeah, I think the other measure on that though is, you know, after you've been doing it for a while, do you feel better than you did before?
Like doing what? The diet?
The diet, yeah.
I guess so. I mean, I've got a pretty iron will as far as like self-discipline, as far as like food and exercise. So to me, like, I feel good if I'm getting results. I don't really like.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it's not a huge challenge for me to do this kind of a thing. So it doesn't disrupt my life.
My experience with most of these, especially the extreme ones, is that I feel pretty crappy for a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
But afterward, on some of them, I stayed feeling not good, and on others, I started to feel a lot better than I did before I started it. And so, for me, it's a question of quality of life. And if I'm feeling terrible after 3-4 weeks of some diet, I'm not doing it anymore.
Well, this thing, for example, it's not like Ultimate Diet 2.0 is not a lifestyle. you're doing this for like 5-6 weeks max because it's so extreme. Like it's a lot. I'm spending like every lifting workout is about an hour and a half in the gym, so 4 days a week. That's that's a lot. So and plus like trying to meticulously eat on this schedule and all this stuff is just crazy. So, but after 5 or 6 weeks, I should have pretty dang good results. And then I'll go on to some kind of a maintenance diet, probably my 1 meal a day kind of ketogenic type of thing that I can keep up indefinitely. But anyway, I didn't mean to totally derail the topic. Yeah, the sale is amazing. Josh's copywriting is just ridiculously amazing. So
we were getting a lot of comments on the emails. We did the launch where we did 3 pre-launch emails that basically just sort of got people thinking about this learning thing, and it was just pure agitation. Like the first one was me talking about a couple of developers who are like kind of you're the new developer on the team and you're asking questions all the time and you feel stupid, and it's basically like the I don't want to feel stupid pain. And then the second one was us talking about John getting fired from his first programming job, which was just a blast to write. Like John just happened to mention that as like a little aside in one of our phone chats, and I was like, whoa. So that ended up becoming kind of a central part.
And they were both open loops, and people were just like, as soon as the first email went out, I got like all these replies. I must have gotten like 20, 30 replies from that first email, maybe even more than that. Just like, I can't believe you're making me wait till tomorrow. I'm going to open your email right away tomorrow, right? Yeah. Which is just awesome. And then from the second email, the same thing. People were like, oh, this is awesome. This is such a good story. I can't wait to see how you're going to solve this problem. And so, like, by the time that Josh gave them the open cart email, they were like just ready to buy because they didn't. I mean, yeah. So it was. I had never seen something like that. Like that reaction from my list of them wanting the thing. I mean, he could have sold them, anything, and they would have bought it at that point. I think just because it was so much of the open loop and the story from the previous email. So
the open loop thing, it actually apparently it actually triggers the same senses or the same areas of your brain as physical pain. So it's a pretty powerful technique. I haven't gotten to do it like this before, where I've gotten to see the results of it from what it looks like from people responding to the emails before. So it was really exciting.
Yeah. So so I'm thrilled. It's pretty cool, and it also goes to show you. Just imagine, the kind of damage you could do. My list is 17,000 people right now. And I think we sent to about 15,000, right? But imagine if you had a 150,000 person list. Then we'd be talking about, instead of a $40,000 launch, we'd be talking about a $400,000 launch. Because it scales. The number scales right up. And so that's the other major thing, asset of a business. As I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, well, we're a simple programmer going. But the thing is, as long as my list is growing, then the business is growing. So because like I said, if I have a 30,000 person list, that would be double that. When we do another launch. So it's pretty crazy when you think about some people that have a 1.5 million person list. Imagine what their launches are, especially when they launch a $1,000 product or $1,200 product. So
yeah, we got to make sure that we are getting those people on your list so that they're still hearing from you.
Exactly. Yeah. And so far only 3 refund requests. So that's pretty good. I'm sure there'll be more that will come in, and then I also noticed one thing that was really cool with the pricing of this, Josh. I don't think I mentioned this to you, is that I saw a lot of India and Pakistan purchases.
Oh wow, interesting. You also got, did you get some people emailing you and saying thank you for keeping this affordable?
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, so that was like at $77. So
Yeah.
you've set the bar nicely with your with your $2.99 product.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It makes it sound a lot more affordable.
Yeah. So
Derek's
anything
got to run, but I want to hear how Watch Me Code's going real quick
Oh, yeah.
before he takes off.
anything really exciting?
Not really. I'm down about 6 subscribers this week. Haven't had any
Chuck.
subscribers this week, so nothing fun to report at least. It's chugging along at about 420 active subscribers right now. I have made a few sales of bundles this month, so I'm sitting at about $850 in bundle sales so far for the month, which is good. And I'm expecting about another $850 from one company. I sent them an invoice a couple of days ago, so as soon as they get that paid, that'll be a nice little bump.
Nice.
But otherwise, just kind of getting things done and trying to get my next episodes planned because I'm out of episodes after next week, so I gotta get something recorded.
Just give him your November talk.
Well, I'm gonna do that. And I've got my pitch for the Rabbit and Q for Devs bundle at the end of the November talk.
Oh, nice. There you go.
So I mean, the whole talk is just a big giant why to and what to with messaging. And the very end of it is, oh, by the way, if you want to know the how to, here you go.
Right.
Discount.
Follow up with them somehow, like collect email addresses or give a little card or collect something from them so that after, because they're going to be all buzzing with the conference stuff, but a week later you come back and say, hey, here's that thing or here's that discount I promised you.
Right. I'll set something up for them. That's a good idea.
When's your talk, Derek?
Saturday at 3:30.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you'd already done it or not.
Nope.
Sweet.
It should be pretty good. I've got 32 slides of hand-drawn, handcrafted, locally sourced, organically grown, non-GMO stick figures.
Nice.
Are you going to introduce them that way? You need to introduce them that way.
I totally should.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like you need to make some kind of business out of that, like drawing people's stick figures or something.
$150 per figure.
Yep.
I gotta get going.
All
right,
My stop's
good
about
luck.
to die. I need to my gate.
Have
See
fun
ya.
in Nashville.
Yeah.
So, you know what I wanted to mention to you guys? Have you heard of Kajabi?
Yes.
I have, but I can't think of what it is at the moment.
So I
It's
guess
an online learning platform, I think.
Okay.
But they've expanded it to more than that. So I was wondering. I've been interested in looking at this. I mean, I've been looking at. Well, here's the thing. Like, okay, you've got Kajabi, ClickFunnels, Zaxas, or whatever. And one of these guys is going to win. I mean, maybe there'll be multiple competitors in this space, but essentially they've hit on this big problem, and everyone's trying to solve. This is the biggest problem, I think, according to John, in online marketing right now, on internet marketing, which is you've got all this stuff that everyone does with their funnels and all the things, landing pages, you've got email lists, you've got autoresponders, you've got digital product delivery, course creation and delivery, payment processing, video, all this stuff, right? And they're all in different places, they're different providers, and so there's a bunch of companies now that are trying to say, hey, instead of like all of this stuff that you have to connect together, we have the all-in-one solution. Mm-hmm. And so, and what's happening is all these companies that were doing one piece of this are expanding and saying, well, we just come here because we've got it all, because they realize that if they don't do it, I think that that they're going to just lose their business. So Kajabi is an example of one, and to me it looks like one of the more interesting ones. They just relaunched their product. I think it used to just be an online education, so you could create courses online and charge people, but now they have digital product delivery, in there, built-in payments, affiliate stuff, customer management, video hosting, landing, and they say landing pages are coming soon, I guess, on that. They also have they offer subscriptions, payment plans, upsells, coupons, and giveaways. So I don't know. I mean, Zaxa is kind of similar, right? And then ClickFunnels is similar as well, I believe.
Yeah, ClickFunnels has got a head start for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I talked to my copywriting coach, and she says that ClickFunnels does do digital product delivery somehow, which I haven't seen anywhere. So I'm gonna have to play around with it and take it for a spin.
Okay. Yeah, this one, in fact, the Kajabi one, it looks like it's $9.97 a year, and they've got an endorsement from Brandon Burchard. I know Derek loves Brandon Burchard, but that's a pretty good endorsement in my book because that dude is doing a lot of online.
I looked into him a while back, and I wasn't super impressed. It didn't quite do what I needed it to. It sounds like they've kind of rethought what they're after. So.
Oh, so you had signed up for Kajabi before,
Yeah, several years ago. So I don't know how relevant that is, but.
Yeah, I mean, because what I really want to do is get something that has I mean, I like the idea of having it all in one place because my Google Analytics funnel thing didn't really work. I can see part of it, but it just doesn't. I don't know. It's not quite that good, and we've got multiple tools for stuff. I like to have it all in one place, and then I really want to be able to do payment plans easily. To say, okay, 3 payments of $99, and I want to be able to do upsells properly, which is I've already taken your credit card, you've already bought the thing. Here you go. Here's one-time offer. Now that all you have to do is click this button, and instead of you getting charged $2.99 for my How to Market Yourself course, you'll get $50 off instantly, or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And then
I think for me the two biggest problems in this whole thing are payments and analytics, because that is the payments are what breaks the analytics. Analytics are what everybody really wants the most, I think, because it's so darn hard to track everything all the way through the funnel.
Exactly.
And the problem is things like PayPal where you go off-site. Like if we didn't take PayPal for this launch, I think we would have made, we would have lost probably $8,000. It probably would have been a 20% hit or more.
Oh yeah. You got to take PayPal. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that automatically screws anything pretty much. You're done. As far as when it comes to analytics, when you have to go over to PayPal and then come back, game over.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and then the same deal with the one-click upsells. It's really tough to do. It's really tough to do those now. And ClickFunnels does it. ClickFunnels, what you'd need to process credit cards though, so you probably wouldn't get the PayPal thing. Maybe you would actually. Actually, if they could do one-click upsells with PayPal, that would be pretty sweet. Because otherwise, you have to bounce them to PayPal to pay, bounce them back to an offer page, and then bounce them back to PayPal again.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it'll work we'll have to figure that out, but I do want to investigate to see, because I feel like one of these platforms is going to be worth it. But I don't know. I mean, but then I say, well, with this launch, we have the pieces. We know how to we've got our own systems. We know how to set up PPD. We know how to set up, Thrive themes to create the sales pages and landing pages, and we integrate it with Drip. So maybe I don't know. Maybe the Google Analytics is okay. I'm just looking at the funnel now. You might be interested in this, Josh. So over the course of since the launch, I'm tracking 832 visits to the sales page.
Okay.
733 adds to cart.
Okay.
And then 410 sales. Oh, so it's
okay.
Short.
Yeah, so the number's wrong, but it gives you an idea of the percentages. It's probably wrong by a similar percentage all along.
According to this, your sales page is converting at 23.43%. So.
Okay, that's pretty. Yeah, that would be healthy. I'm I'm excited though, because if it converts at 7 to 10%, after the launch winds down, that means that we just bumped Simple Programmers revenue by like $2 or $3 grand a month at least.
Exactly. Yeah. That would be
Just
pretty
so-
dang awesome
So
if that holds. So we'll see if it does. I think it may. I think it's compelling enough that it may just hold there, and if it does, that would be pretty dang awesome. Still have to figure out how to get it, like, to opt people in. I think the best, what I'm thinking is like to have multiple offers. So I think with Thrive, you can have different opt-ins, and so basically, like, instead of having just one lead magnet for my pop-up, it would alternate between the two, and then
Yeah.
some people will be interested in one, and some people will be interested in the other. So
right. Or we could just have multiple ones pop up. So like you're reading the article, and then bam, pop up, and you scroll down 2 screens, bam, another pop up.
exactly.
That would not get any hate on Hacker News.
Yeah.
I had that happen with the King Sumo mat one time, where it's like every time you scrolled, it would like scroll you to the top of the screen and bloop, show you the welcome mat again. No.
Another payment just came in, so we might have broken the 40K.
Nice, live on the air.
Yeah, we're just under it. Yeah, one more we need. So.
Yes. So John and I are talking about maybe teaming up here.
Oh yeah, we should mention that.
Yeah. So we're trying to figure out a way that like we can basically work together for a year, and then I become like a partner in Simple Programmer, and so it's become a lot more complicated than we thought initially. Trying to figure out like what would be fair for both of us.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're both getting out of it what you need to.
Yeah. Well, the thing is like, so right now where the revenue is, like initially we were thinking, well, what if we just kind of split the revenue 50-50? But for me, that wouldn't be enough for me to live on, and I'd have to kind of like stop all my other client work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be like burning savings with the assumption and the hope that we could get the revenue up quick enough that I'd be able to pay all my bills and everything. So we have like a compromise where John would basically kind of pay me a retainer for a while, and that would be more than half of the revenue for a while, and then the revenue would bump up, and then it would be he'd be making, it would be like a net positive at that point.
Yeah, I've heard partnerships also work things out where one of the partners, for example, basically steps in as kind of the general manager or something, and so they come up with a general manager's salary out of what comes in on the business, and then whatever's left over after paying the other costs to keep the business open is the profit that gets split between the partners. And so you would effectively have a paid position as part of Simple Programmer, and then whatever's left, you and John split 50-50 because you own the business 50-50.
Yeah, the only we've got an earn, like a, not an earn out, but essentially like what I'm thinking is I would basically grant Josh an option to buy 49.9% of Simple Programmer at the current valuation, and then he would have like 3 years on that option, and then as he's working and we're trying to grow the revenue, he'll get like basically 75% of the revenue growth that me and him are able to create together for that time period, and then he can use that money to exercise the option. So when he comes into the company, he'll actually be buying 50% or 49.9% of Simple Programmer, and then we'll be equal partners essentially equal partners.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got to figure out all the implications and how to get that working.
Yeah, we were like clicking along, all excited, and then I was like, oh yeah, what about taxes? Oh crap! So we started because to buy, like, the taxes on that amount of money is going to be a pretty big chunk, so that makes it that much harder for me to earn that the amount of money that I'd need to do that. So. And then even if John were to just give it to me, still I'd probably still have to pay. I'd have to sell my house.
Right, to pay the tax.
That's what happens when Oprah gives away those cars.
Yeah.
A lot of times people have to sell the cars to pay the taxes on the cars. 'Cause you get gift tax. Yeah, so there's just no. But yeah, we're gonna get a lawyer involved and try to do it
Yeah,
right.
I was
so
going
we
to
don't-
say, you're probably going to have to get a lawyer involved. You may also want to talk to other people who have done similar things and see how they
Yeah.
arrange things.
Yeah.
But I think we can figure something out. Like, I mean, and I think I'm excited about it if we can get it going because, especially after this home run that we hit, I think like it's a good team because I can produce a lot of content. Josh can really get the copywriting and marketing going, and there's a lot of unrealized opportunity in Simple Programmer. Plus, like I said, I mean, I've talked a lot about how I've been like disillusioned, like do I really want to do this anymore? And really a large part of it is just because like working by yourself on this stuff, is not as exciting.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
I think having, I always thought like if I do create another business, I will have a business partner because it's a lot more fun to be able to bounce ideas off of people and to be able to like to have something to be working together towards a common goal as opposed to just I don't know when you're out on your own trying to do it like it's not as motivating. So
Yeah.
plus we can tackle the fitness space after. The goal would be to automate Simple Programmer as much as possible, get it growing like double, triple the revenue, and have that going, and then move into another space and build another company. So.
Well,
Yeah.
and if you have all the pieces in place, so that you understand this is how we attack these problems, and this is how we approach these marketing challenges, and this is how we actually do these things, especially with products that look like X or Y, then the rest of it's just figuring out what you have to tweak for that market.
Exactly. Yep.
Yep.
The other thing that's nice too about having a partner is that hopefully you have somebody who likes to do some of the stuff that you're either not good at or don't like doing.
Yeah.
Right.
And it seems like you guys have fairly nicely matched that up. I'm sure there are some things that neither of you want to do, but
But we can pay someone to do that. Yeah.
Right.
I was thinking like I'm very much a visionary type of person, like with the kind of the bigger picture, and Josh is very good at the details. I suck at details. Like I just want to go. I want to run faster than I can, and Josh is able to like craft the awesome emails and the message and the offer, whereas I just want to throw something up there and let's go, let's launch. And so that's I think that's a big weakness of mine that I think Josh fills in pretty well. So yeah.
Yeah, and actually I think the biggest thing John brings is like just sort of like the consistency. Like I can be consistent, but like I have my biggest weakness right now with my stuff and trying to build my audience is just like content, right? It's just not. I am more of a polisher, and so I think that's where the copywriting is a good fit for me. Like I've never really been good at consistently blogging, like bigger stuff. Like I can do my daily emails and that's fun and I like doing that, but being able if I could generate a lot more traffic to my site right now, I'd be in great shape, but it's not my strength.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. I've got to figure out. I've got to start talking to some lawyers and see if we can get like a meeting set up and see if we can get this underway, because it'd be cool to get this going pretty soon. So
Yeah.
I think this is a terrible idea because I want my turn to have Josh make me 40,000.
Nice. Well, maybe we can do some kind of round robin situation here.
Oh, there we go. It's my week for Josh. Give it.
I know. I think you're going to get a lot of emails after this episode of Entreprogrammers airs, Josh. A lot of pitches.
Before I get tied up. Yeah, so I ran this whole thing by my copywriting coach, and she actually said she's a little jealous because it sounds like sounds like if we can pull it off the way we're talking about doing it, she thinks it sounds pretty good for both of us. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I wouldn't be, for me, like I've kind of been interested in, so this is like there's a bunch of different business models in copywriting and consulting, and this is kind of so Clayton Makepeace is one of the top copywriters, and he's, in my opinion, he's actually probably the best at teaching copywriting of anybody. He's just got he's got a really really analytical and thoughtful way that he lays stuff out, and it's kind of like Breakthrough Advertising is like that, the best book I think about copywriting, and he has that same sort of mindset as the guy that wrote that. But what he does is he goes in to business and he basically buys. He's got the cash up front, so he buys into the business, and then he comes in and he's like, okay, I run your company now.
Yeah.
And because like a lot of businesses have things backwards where marketing is sort of off to the side, and kind of there's a business guy and he kind of runs the show, and so Clayton will come in and he'll buy, I think he buys a majority share of it, and then he basically just takes what they're doing, flips it around so that they're thinking about marketing and sales first, and just it's funny because he'll disappear from the scene, and people will be like, who's he working with now? And then they'll notice on they'll see somebody's mailing list. Because people rent out their mailing list, their physical mailing list, and they'll see this mailing list just explode, go from 100,000 people to 4 million in 6 months, and they're like, oh, there's Clayton.
Huh.
So he kind of goes off the radar, and but yeah, so that's one of the nicer. That's a model I've been really interested in, is kind of finding a business that's already successful and kind of coming in and helping to grow it more. So this is and it's nice that it's with John, because I don't think there's a lot of people. There's basically not very many people in the world that I would ever consider even loaning money to. But if John showed up at my door and was like, Josh, I need $10,000, I would give it to him. There's not very many people that I would trust to do something like that. But so hopefully this works out. I'm excited.
I'd do it too, but at what interest rate?
Well, if I went after John, he'd probably break my kneecaps, though. So so
that's right.
Probably I'd give him a reasonable interest rate.
No, I think it's fine. I mean, and that's a good business model, like you're saying. I think it's a win-win, for everyone in that case, because you've got someone you've got a business that an opportunity, because on both sides, right? One side, you've got the infrastructure already that doesn't have to be built,
right.
And then you magnify that as a multiplier, and then on the other side, someone's going to come in and multiply my thing. That's great.
Yeah.
So, but I think, I think we could. I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think in a lot of the place where there is opportunity with Simple Programmer, it has to do with in the marketing and utilizing the traffic, because there's a lot of traffic coming in and it's growing and the list is growing, and so a lot, for me as a copywriter, you get a lot of opportunities to quote unquote get in on the ground floor of businesses, but they're all unproven, and they want you they're in startup mode, and they want you to work for free for a year, and that's just not going to work. Very few. There are a few copywriters that I've heard of. There's one guy I know of who would never take an upfront fee for his work, but pretty much everybody else is no, you're gonna have to pay me. You're gonna pay me $20,000 up front to write your sales letter, and you're gonna pay me 5% of the gross sales. So, so that's not something a startup can do. Well, also someone who does that, who goes in and doesn't take any upfront fee and is just looking for the royalty split or the revenue split. Someone can do that because they're good because they've done this a lot of times, and they know, and they're very picky with the deals that they look for the It's like Shark Tank, right? It's if you're making a Shark Tank deal, it's because there's not a question of will this work. It's a guaranteed return on your money. So I think that's probably going to be the case there, where they're rejecting 90% of the deals or more.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the other I do know. So actually, Eugene Schwartz, who wrote Breakthrough Advertising, he would often do work for free, but he would get all the names. So he used to buy he basically would buy. He built his own multi-million-dollar company, info publishing company, just by writing copy for other people and then taking all their buyers' names and adding them to his in-house direct mail lists.
Huh, that's interesting.
So that was that's pretty ingenious, but you can't do that with email. You can only...
There were a couple of companies that did it. I can't remember the names of the companies now, but essentially DPD competitors, right? And Zach's a competitor, and what they would do, I think they might both be out of business. Or no, I think they're anyway. What they would do is they would solicit your customers.
Oh man.
Yeah, so that's they got some pretty bad flack. There were two of them. I was looking through some Warrior Forum threads the other day, and I was like, oh wow, that's nasty. Like,
wow.
I do want to ask about some of the stuff that we're talking about here. One is just the list building thing.
Yeah.
I had a major breakthrough off of one of, and I don't know why, because I know we've talked about it on the show, but for some reason your email about, and I'm talking to Josh, your email about your website has one job. I thought about that, and I was like, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, that you know, if there's any one thing that is the most valuable thing they can do on that website, it's that. I mean, I have all the other information on there, so people, if they want that information, can get it. But yeah, why have it up if I'm not getting something out of it? And the email is kind of a major thing.
yeah.
Yep.
So I need to go back through now and say, okay, so how do I prompt them into getting on my mailing lists?
Well, and here's something just to hit that point home, right? I don't know if I got asked this on Entrepreneur on Fire, or I mentioned this in a conversation recently on some interview or something, but basically take away everything that I have, my website, hackers stole it, my YouTube videos, every single thing that I have, and just leave me my email list, and I'll rebuild the business in a year and be making close to as much money. Like, that's how valuable. I mean, think about it. Like, you can rebuild everything if you have an email list. So that's how important it is.
It's a list of relationships. I'm over here now. Boom. Done.
Yeah.
Right. And Pat Flynn had this happen to him a while back, where hackers took down his website for like a week or 2 weeks. And this was like maybe 2-3 years ago, and he was just basically like sending out email updates.
I remember.
And and he didn't really miss a beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he actually had people jump in and help him get things. Built back up.
Yep.
So not only did he say, "Okay, I'm over here now," but he also pulled off and I had a whole bunch of people from my audience help me out, so it got done fast.
Success story.
Yep. I'm also trying to do a giveaway, and I bought King Sumo. Thanks for the 50% off.
Thanks for the commission.
I like how that works. I got half the price, and you got some money too.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out exactly what I need to do to make that take off. Because I think what I want to do is I want to give away I'm going to do a WebStorm license, especially since I have JS Remote Conf coming up in January.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm going to run it through most of December, maybe early January, and then I'm going to pull everybody else into a webinar and do a webinar on something related to JavaScript, and then do a pitch for JS Remote Conf at the end and see if I can bump sales that way.
Okay.
Is it something that people really? Well, I guess it's a good time to ask you, Josh, about your thing, because I'm suspecting that people don't. I'm suspecting that people don't know enough about Thrive themes to want it. It's awesome, but it's not popular. Like Sublime Text is popular, even though it might not be as awesome as what.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm actually sitting at. So I launched it. Earlier this week. I launched it on Tuesday. I've done a couple emails about it now, and I'm sitting at 29 contestants.
Oh gosh.
So, good odds.
Yeah. I actually wrote an email. My email that I wrote this morning, which will go out next week, was basically you win some, you lose some, and it was like contrasting the success we had this week with the launch of John's product with this giveaway, and kind of like I think really the difference is really the offer. It's like the Thrive, like it's awesome. The reason I was kind of hoping that it would be a good a good thing to give away is that it's gotten a lot of traction with serious marketers. Like I hear about it from
Oh yeah.
people that are like, on Perry's List and stuff. So I was thinking that maybe it was better known than it is, but I think it's still the new kid on the block, and it hasn't gotten a lot of traction yet. And there's some really big players like Lead Pages and stuff that people know about. So yeah, so I think I think at this point I will be lucky to get $1 per subscriber. Like I'll be lucky to get 150 subscribers out of this, and get if I could get like $1 per new subscriber, that's actually not that bad. But a bunch of the people that are on the list now are people that were already on my email list, so we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing about that is it's an awesome product, but it's just not as well known. You need to everybody wants to win like something that's super popular. Like you need to find the thing that's super popular, and then just like you did with Sublime Text. But that's a good lesson to learn, I guess, because I didn't really do that either.
It was a lesson I knew. I misjudged this particular prize.
Yeah.
Blew it. So
you just thought it was more popular than it was?
Yeah. Yep. So, and I had actually talked to Shane, who's one of the co-founders of the company, and they were going to comp me a license for it, and I'm just going to pay for it. I'm not going to take advantage of that, because if I'd gotten them some decent exposure, I would have taken it, but I'm not going to. So.
Well, they just got a free plug here, so.
Yeah.
But they get one every week, so.
Right.
Yeah. So in my case, I think WebStorm is going to work out fine because it's a pretty popular IDE for JavaScript.
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that question, but yeah, it sounds. I mean, I've definitely heard of it, and it's definitely something that people talk about a lot in compared to Sublime.
Yeah, I know the answer to that. A lot of people use it.
Do you have an idea of what the install base might look like? Any?
For WebStorm?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Because there's some stats available for Sublime.
You know, it was
ballpark.
I'll tell you though that 80% of the videos out there that show you how to do something in JavaScript use it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it has a free version, right? And then you're selling the license.
The free version. So the free version's usually good for a few months, and then you have to buy it.
Okay, because one of the magic things I think in retrospective, Josh, with your with Sublime Text is that it's free.
Yeah.
And it has the upgrade. And what is the upgrade? It's like $50 something.
It was $50 the first time I did the contest, and then it went up to $70. So.
Okay, so if you're using something free and you got full functionality, right? It's like the perfect Christmas gift. It's a perfect Christmas gift for someone like us who can buy what we want. Essentially, is something that you would never buy for yourself, but you really want because it would be a waste of money. And I think that's kind of the upgrade for Sublime Text. People are like, oh, I use Sublime Text, and I'm not going to pay $50 for.
It only prompts me every 7 times I save.
Exactly.
I'm serious. But
if I could win that, right? You know what I mean? It's like I wouldn't have to justify it to myself. I wouldn't have to say, well, you wasted $50 on not being annoyed by a pop-up every 7 times. But if you got it for free, so I think that's the beautiful thing. There is something those are the coveted thing. And you think I was thinking about. Someone was talking about something about giveaways or something, and I was thinking about prizes that they give. Oh, it was actually on Pat Flynn's podcast this morning when I was listening. He was talking about creating an affiliate program, and he was talking about giving your affiliates a contest, right?
Oh,
I don't know if you guys.
So cool. I listened to that this morning.
Yeah, and notice what the dude, what's his name? I can't remember. The House of. I can't remember his name though. He just released that book. His guest on there.
Lewis Howes?
Lewis Howes, yes. So he noticed the prizes he was giving to his affiliates, or when he mentioned them, they were the things that were he was a tricked out, whatever, or I can't remember what he said, but all of the prizes I noticed were things that were more than utility. They were luxury items. They were things that were upgraded, where you would never buy it yourself because I'm not going to waste money on that. Or even one of them was a gyrocopter, or what
quadcopter.
Yeah, which a lot of people like. I would love to have a quadcopter, but I'm never going to buy one because I'm not going to spend $500 on a
Yeah, well,
stupid
actually, the second biggest giveaway that I'm aware of with King Sumo was for a drone. It was a quadcopter basically. So
I bet I could get lots of people to sign up for an email address. Give me email addresses for that.
yes, but they would all be interested in drones.
Exactly. Yeah, the only problem is it has to be related as well.
I'm doing a robotics conference in August.
You could probably get something pretty. You could probably get some. I'll bet you that the Raspberry Pi or something along those lines could be. Because I don't know if that's still as hot as it was a year or two ago, but
Pi?
Yeah, and
maybe there are other boards that are also pretty popular. I think it just depends on what people are playing with.
You know, it'd be an awesome one too. Like that would meet the kind of criteria would be to like something you couldn't get that you couldn't buy, or that people didn't realize that you could buy, which would be something like an hour of some famous person's time. But you buy it from them, and there's places where you could buy it. They just most people wouldn't know or think to do it, or like what I mean. But maybe you buy like an hour of some really famous person's time for like $3,000 or $4,000, and then you raffle that off essentially, and then that's like it's a priceless thing.
Huh.
Yeah, Chuck, you're in an interesting position because you've got so many different audiences. I'd really have to think about like you've got to like have you need to have both like a siloed. You need to have it very well segmented, but also I think pull people together and communicate across the boundaries because otherwise you're going to have all these little pockets that are going to be really difficult to maintain. I mean, you have like 20 email lists instead of one, and you really want to have one.
Yeah, one email list.
What you want is
the email list.
You want the email list to be about Chuck, and then
not about JavaScript or whatever.
Yeah, like because that's where I have like that's for me is the challenge with Sublime, is it's like its own thing, and I can't really talk about, that's just not going to be. They're not going to want to hear about marketing,
Right.
And one thing I learned is you can be multiple Chucks, right? So.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, what I mean is, like, you can still personalize, right? You have to personalize, because at first I was like, I need to just, like, step away from simple. But, I mean, Josh wrote my emails, right? Like, it was still me, though, because I gave him the stories, and it's truth, and it's stuff I told him. Right. But it's a different John than I would write to a different audience.
Right.
And so, like, just because you have a JavaScript audience or whatever it is, you can just be... You can still be personalized, like you can still be Chuck, like it could still be you, like Josh is saying. Just it's you for that.
So can you funnel multiple people into the same list from different contests?
I would try to.
And so what you're saying is, so if I do a JavaScript contest, like with WebStorm, and then a couple months from now I do another one with RubyMine for Ruby, then I would put them into the Chuck's Dev Tips list or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I would try to. Yeah, I would look for a way to have. What I would do. So this is the way Perry runs his list. Okay, so he's got all these little spokes that come in from different angles. So there's like the AdWords people, and then there's like the 80/20 people, and there's the copywriting people. There's all these different entry points to his funnel. But he's kind of at the center of all of it, and so like once you you go through the AdWords course, well then you get dumped onto his main list, and you don't hear from him as much, but you're still hearing from him a lot, and some of it will be related to what you came in on, but he'll also try to introduce you to this other stuff.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, so you need to have, and I think the dev tip, something actually Ruby Rogues is a pretty good.
Yeah,
it's somewhat of a model because it's like a lot. It's really about software. It's not really about Ruby, right?
Yeah.
And so that you need to have something like that where that's how you nurture people. Is like you're talking about software and what it means to be a good developer, not just JavaScript or Clojure or whatever.
Okay, I like that, and I've kind of been thinking that, but at the same time, most of the shows people come to, they come to because there is some kind of niche that they want to hear about, like
Yeah.
JavaScript.
Yep.
And so I worried about generalizing my list and losing people. But I
Well,
think,
you will lose some people,
yeah.
but that's okay.
But
Yeah.
overall, then it's not, because I do worry about that too. Like I have the JavaScript remote conference, but it is interesting to the Ruby audience.
Yeah.
It definitely applies to the Angular audience.
Right.
And the freelance audience, there's some tangential there because a lot of the folks that listen to that are coders, web
Right.
developers. But they are sort of siloed, and there's not always a clear crossover. And I'll definitely lose people if I go way off topic one way or the other. And so
Yeah, you will. But the downside, the alternative is that you are splintering your influence
right.
to the
So
point where you're diluting it.
So if I get everybody onto the main list, onto a main list where it's, and I've thought about doing this list for a while, yeah, I'm going to get people who want to follow me, who feel like my advice is, relevant and well received, and it doesn't necessarily have to be specifically about Ruby or JavaScript or whatever. And if I do put a tip in there and my example is in JavaScript, most people figure that out if there's some underlying value they can pull from it. And I think people are also pretty forgiving if most of the stuff is relevant to them, and then occasionally there are things in there that it's just like,
Right.
oh, okay, I'm not really interested in that Ruby gem, or
Yeah.
oh, I'm not really
Right.
interested in that JavaScript library.
Right. Well, if you've got your list segmented, though, you don't have to send every email to every person. So you've got this thing that is like pretty much, it would be interesting to anyone who's into front end web development.
Uh-huh.
So it's JavaScript, it's web developers, it's freelancers. So that's one segment.
So I just
and then
send
you've
it
got
to the people who are tagged that way.
yeah,
So
or
everyone-
yeah, exactly. Yep. Or if you're using campaigns in Drip, you could set it up to go. You could add people. You could have kind of like your main. If you're doing all autoresponders, right? You could have like kind of a JavaScript autoresponder and a Ruby autoresponder, and then you've got like this back end one that people get on, that you add people to from those other lists. It's like you've got this web development one that you can't get onto. You can't really opt into it from the website, but you get onto it when you join the JavaScript list, and that's got emails in it that are relevant to web development, not just that language. So, but yeah, I do. I think you really do need to you need to be able to communicate. Like people need to be able to not set their hair on fire if they hear from you about something that's not the specific language that they signed up for. Like they need to have a relationship with you to where you can send them other interesting things.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to think about that and what exactly that means for me, but I'll probably put something together and throw it back at you guys, either on this call or in the email.
Yeah, sounds good. John, I wanted to ask one thing real quick. Do you think do you think that this launch would be something that we could use for Entrepreneur on Fire to get me on there?
Oh, I think we probably could, yeah.
Because we've got a couple of interesting hooks here. We've got this product was gathering digital dust on your hard drive for 2 years, and we launched it and made $40,000. And there's also kind of like the selling with stories to an audience that is not very open to being sold to.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think there's a couple of potentially good hooks there, and we got some good results out of it. So
I want to hear that episode. When's it coming out?
I don't know. How would how does that process work? Like, would an introduction help things, or?
Let me send an email to John, because I think I'll be able to make an introduction now that I've been on the show.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, and then I'll mention that. Yeah, I'll just tell him like the brief story, and then I'll say that you'd be a real interesting guy to have on there. And then I'll also back it up with the second point of credibility. I'll pitch this story, but I'll also say the giveaway that you had
Yeah.
and that you're on Pat Flynn, your guest post on Pat Flynn, right?
Yeah.
All that stuff. So. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, because I really think, for me, I really think, like, I've done maybe 10 to 15 podcasts at this point, and I do well on them. I really enjoy it. I get backlinks to my site every time I do it.
Yep.
And it's pretty easy. Like, for me, that's way easier than a blog post. Because for me, like, to do like I'd like to do a blog post about this and try to get it posted on somebody's site, but that's going to be probably 15 to 20 hours worth of work. That's like a half. For me, that's like a half week to the way that I typically do them. So.
Oh, let's use the power of the internet too. So to Entreprogrammers listening out there, if you would like to hear Josh on Entrepreneur on Fire, just email.
There we go.
John Lee Dumas
there we go.
At Entrepreneur on Fire, or I don't know if that's his email address, but find his email address.
John at Entrepreneur on Fire.
Okay, yeah, email him and say that that Josh is on Entreprogrammers. You heard him talking about this launch, and you think it'd be a perfect story. I'm pretty sure if he gets like 50 emails, that he will pretty much wonder what's going on. So.
Cool. That's called astroturfing right there.
Yeah.
That's actually how I got on Pat. That's how I got Pat's attention, actually. Kestrel, one of our intrepid listeners, helped me. I'd reached out to Pat on Twitter, and Kestrel saw it and replied, and like, I think that reply is what got Pat's attention. So.
Yep.
It does work.
Yeah. It's a good technique. So.
Cool. I'm out of stuff.
I guess we should probably get going here. Oh, I do have one quick cool story to share. So remember that nasty Amazon reviewer on my book?
Oh yeah.
Who I kind of sort of befriended, like I wanted to interview. He sent me, how the official Amazon store opened up. Well, he sent me a picture of my book in the official Amazon store with like on display, because it's on one of the main displays. Like it's got because it is one of the most highly rated books on Amazon. So
nice.
it's got,
so wait, so I missed this. Amazon opened a physical store?
Yeah, yep, in
Where
Seattle.
Is it? In Seattle? Okay. That's very cool.
Yeah, so that was cool. I was like,
did he scrawl all over the books? Face them and say how terrible they are. 1 star.
So yeah, so even obviously I don't know what his opinion, but his opinion of my work maybe hasn't changed as much. Well, although I'm sure that it has to some degree, but his opinion of me has, at least. So you can definitely win people over that, or even in fact, the more someone's against you, the more likely you can win them over.
Yeah.
So and it's a good. I don't know if anything will come from it, but you never know as well. And plus, something did come from it, right? I got to see a picture of my book in the Amazon store, which if I told him to go F himself, or I guess, as I mentioned before, told him that his mother was fat, then it probably wouldn't have gotten that result. So.
Chuck shares the link. It's eofire.com /contact.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Cool. Yes, it is said that
on that page. We do not accept guest posts.
Nice.
All right. Anyone, or should we go to thoughts? Unless someone's got anything else.
Yeah,
no, I'm going to be reading through Josh's list on how to set up giveaways, so I'll probably have questions about that coming up too. But.
Cool. I'll go first with my thought, I guess. So I think for me, like, this was just, it's you got to take at bats, like giveaway, total strikeout, and then home run with this other thing with John. So, and it's really like I did an email this week about, I think it went out today actually, about Gary Halbert. Like, there were times when he'd look at an ad, like, and he'd show it to somebody and he'd be like, yeah, I have no idea why this didn't work. Like, the ad's good, the offer's good, and sometimes it's just, you miss something. and you just got to get back on the horse and do it again.
I'd say mine is to recognize the places where you have weakness and where and not underestimate this, like the power of synergy. I think I tend to never really, like I guess a lot of my thinking is 1 + 1 = 2. But there's situations where you can find multipliers. Like, for example, this launch was just a eye awakening, because I wouldn't have achieved anywhere close to these results on my own, and so it made a lot of sense. Like, it was easily a smart investment, to hire you, Josh, to help me do this, and now I'm seeing the possibilities, like that. There's a lot of places where there's probably good synergy that where 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, where it equals 5 or 10. So
yeah, there's something to be said for not always trying to overcome your weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, you can get. I think it's admirable and useful to do that to some extent, and not just say, well, I could never do that. But at some point you get to a certain level, and there's just going to be somebody that's a lot better at whatever it is, that you need to do.
Yeah, I think one interesting caveat too is that sometimes you have to be good enough to know.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I feel like if I hadn't done any copywriting and hadn't done any of this stuff or launched, on my own, I wouldn't have been able to recognize how good your stuff was. But like, as soon as I saw your stuff, I was like, oh, this is just like, I knew instantly. Or even before that, like, as you've been sending emails, I'm like, I can recognize something that's good. And so I think that's that's the key. And that was the key for me, was I was like, I can recognize that Josh is doing stuff that is 10 times better than what I'm producing. So it makes sense to hire out in that place, get some help. So.
Yeah, the way I kind of see it is that if you have 2 milliliters of liquid in one beaker and 2 milliliters in the other beaker, and you pour one into the other, they may react and overflow. So you don't have 4 milliliters of stuff.
Yeah.
You have enough to fill the beaker and then some.
Yep.
So.
Boom.
My thought is mostly around building systems. The more I find that I'm building a system, especially a system that somebody else can follow, and I can make it more automatic and make it simpler, that's where the money is for me. I've got enough projects going on to where the simplification is a major deal when it comes down to, if I did this all myself, I wouldn't be able to do it in a month, and yet because we have systems in place, I can hand it off to somebody else and have it done in a week.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome. All right. Same time next week.
Yep.
And
well, maybe a little earlier.
Yeah, a little earlier. All right. See you guys next time. Yeah.
See ya.